Refugee worker Mohammed Yashar has packed some pita bread, a few tomatoes and soda for the children. He knows it's barely enough for one meal for the 7-member family he's about to visit. 3 years ago, the Azimis fled to Turkey from Afghanistan. They'd planned to have arrived in Europe a long time ago, but instead, they're stuck here on the outskirts of Istanbul. For weeks now, they've been afraid to leave the house, out of fear of the coronavirus or of getting deported. They only let Yashar into their flat. He takes their temperature and gives them food ration cards. They're worried about getting sick without health insurance, and they feel unwanted in Turkey.
Refugees are being evicted, even if they've paid the rent. We've seen it happen a lot.
Today, Reza, the family's eldest son, is appearing on the social media channel of Mohammed's relief organisation. He's recounting their experiences in recent weeks.
You already know what happened to us at the Greek border, how hard it was for us there.
The Azimis arrived at the Greek border at the end of February, along with tens of thousands of other refugees. The Turkish government had just announced that the doors were open for them to go to Europe. But on the other side of the fence, Greece had slammed the door to the EU shut. Several attempts to cross the border by force were beaten down.
We set up a tent. Every day they told us we'd be off today or tomorrow. But nothing ever happened. They lied to us.
The few who made it to the Greek side were violently driven back into Turkey. Like these Iranians, who were even stripped of their clothes. For a month, Reza Azimi and others waited at the border in the freezing cold and filth. Then one night, the Turkish police showed up.
They dragged us out of our tents with force. Then they set our belongings on fire, pushed us onto buses and drove us off. We were on the road for 20 hours. We only had dried bread to eat, and we weren't allowed to disembark.
The family was brought to Malatya, 1,400 kilometers away. They were put in a quarantine facility like this. A few days later, they were taken to a place near Ankara. Ultimately, all the refugees at the Greek border ended up on the streets somewhere in Turkey. So did the Azimi family. The people around the world, they say, have lost any interest in their fate.
We've been taken advantage of as a political football. Everyone knows that by now. Not just the refugees, but the whole international community.
At the end of their odyssey, the volunteer refugee worker Mohammed Yashar got them off the street and into a 2-room flat. The Azimis share it with another refugee family. But it's unclear if they'll be able to stay.
Now there's the coronavirus too, and the way to Europe is blocked, and we can't work here either. Our life is hopeless. When I ask for work, they say, we don't take foreigners.
The Azimi's dream of a life in Europe has become a nightmare. Reza's father says Turkey doesn't want them, but they can't go back to Afghanistan either.
Where should we turn? We left our home for the sake of our children. Now they aren't even able to go to school.
And so they do what they can to get by with just some bread, tomatoes and a few olives. Their only option is to wait and hope. Hope that Turkey accepts them or Europe opens her arms.